Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video. This is Pet Crochets. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the Cleo top. This top has beautiful lace detailing on the straps and it's perfect for summer. Here I'm just showing you guys the details and information of the yarn that I chose. I chose a 100% cotton yarn so that it would be breathable for this summertime. I also chose a yarn that wasn't too bulky or thick because I didn't want my lace straps to be too wide and I wanted the lace detail to pop more. So the main takeaway here, I know it's a bit of a mess, is that the lace strap is going to be 30 inches or 15 inches folded. So we're going to need 163 foundation single crochet chains to begin. We're going to grab our 1.9mm hook and make a slip knot. I like to make a slip knot by wrapping the yarn twice around my finger and then pulling the back loop over the front and then the front over the back. And this creates a nice little loop. You're going to put the loop on your hook and tighten. So for this pattern, we're going to be making 163 foundation single crochets. This just avoids having to do a foundation chain first and then going back to do a single crochet. So we're going to chain 2. And back into that first chain, we're going to put our hook, making sure to grab both the front and the back loops. We're going to draw up a loop. Now you have 2. You're going to yarn over and pull through just the top loop. That's the foundation chain. And then yarn over and pull through 2. That's a single crochet. So this is our first foundation single crochet. Now we're going to always be working into that V shape in the back closest to the yarn where I'm pointing right now. So we're going to put our hook back in, making sure to grab both the front and the back. You're going to yarn over, pull through. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop, that's the foundation chain, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and that's a single crochet. So now you have 2. So this just saves a little bit of time. Originally you're supposed to do like a foundation chain and then chain 1 and then go back and do a single crochet, and this kind of just does it all in one step. So show it again. We're going to yarn over, pull through the top, that is the foundation, and then yarn over and pull through 2, that is a single crochet. So we keep repeating this until we have a total of 163 or approximately 30 inches. To begin the lace, we're going to chain up 3 and turn our work. Remember, we're always going to be skipping that first stitch because it counts as a stitch for the chain 3. So into the next 2 stitches, we're going to be doing an unfinished double crochet, which I will show you right now. So to do that, we're going to yarn over, put our hook into that very next stitch. We're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, we're left with 2. We're going to yarn over, go into the very next stitch, not the same stitch, the next one. And we're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then finish off by yarning over and pulling through all 3. So that's our first one. Then we're going to chain up 5. Now we're going to be doing the same pattern into the next 3 stitches. We're going to skip a stitch and into the next 3 stitches. So we're going to yarn over, put our hook into the second stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, not the same one, the next one. We're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then again into 1 more stitch. Yarn over, pull through, pull up a loop, and pull through 2, and then to finish off, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4. I'm going to show that one more time. So we're going to chain up 5. We're going to be skipping a stitch. So into the second stitch, we're going to begin our 3. So skip a stitch, we're going to yarn over, put our hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over into the third stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then to finish off, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. You're going to continue this pattern until you have 4 stitches left. So now we're going to yarn over, skip a stitch, and then to the next 2 stitches, like we did in the beginning, we're going to do that unfinished double crochet. And then into that last stitch, we're just doing a regular double crochet. Okay, so that's the first row of our lace pattern. To begin our second row, we're going to chain up 3, turn our work. We're going to yarn over, and into that very first stitch or the second stitch, because remember we're skipping the first, we're going to do a double crochet. Now we're going to chain up 2, and into that space we're going to be making a single crochet. So you pull up a loop and yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook. Now we chain up 5, and this is where the pattern is going to repeat. We're going to chain up 5, and back into that space we're going to do a single crochet. So put your hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. And then we repeat, so we're going to chain up 5, and into that space we're going to be making a single crochet. We're going to do that all the way to the end. When you do the last single crochet, you're going to chain 2, and then we're going to put a double crochet into that double crochet space, and then 1 last double crochet into that last space on the chain 3. To start the third row, we're going to chain 3 and turn our work, and into that first stitch we're going to be putting in 2 double crochets. So here's the first, and then 1 more into the very same stitch. So we have 2. Okay, now you're going to chain 1, and into the third chain or the third stitch of this loop we're going to be putting in 3 double crochets. So that's 1, back into the same stitch, that's 2, and then 1 more, that's 3. So that's like the middle of that little arch right there. Then we're going to chain 1 and repeat the pattern. So into the third stitch, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochets into the same stitch at the top of this arch. Now we continue the pattern all the way down until you finish the last 3 sets of double crochets on that third stitch of the arch, after which we're going to repeat the beginning. So to do that, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to be putting 2 double crochets into the top of that double crochet space right there. So 1, and then 2, just like the beginning. And then we're putting 1 last double crochet into the top of that chain 3 space to finish off the row. When you're done, this is what it should look like. Now we're going to chain just 1 and turn our work. And to that very next stitch, we're going to be making a single crochet. So remember, for a single crochet, we put our hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now this is the last row. We're just going to be doing a row of single crochets all the way down into every single stitch. So as you can see, every single stitch, make sure to get that stitch right there, which might be a little bit tight. And we're just going to be doing this all the way down. To finish off the lace, you're going to chain 1 and cut, and we're going to pull the yarn through. So as you can see, I did this video a little bit backwards. I'm showing you how to do the left panel right now. I already did the right side panel. I just want to show you where I'm starting the bust area. So this is how much coverage I wanted. I wanted just enough to cover the top of my bust. So for me, that was 55 stitches from the bottom of the lace panel. We want to do an uneven number because with the increases at the end, we're going to end up with an even number, and we need an even number to do that last row of mesh stitch. To start, you're going to take the stitch marker out of the 55th stitch and we're going to put a slip knot. If you don't remember how to do slip knot, I'm going to have a timestamp in the description box. So we're going to pull that slip knot all the way through that 55th stitch. Now we chain up 2 and we're going to be doing half double crochets. So we yarn over to that next stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 3 loops on our hook. That's a half double crochet. Again, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3 loops. Half double crochet. We're going to be doing that all the way down to the end. When we get to the end, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. Now previously we've been skipping that very first stitch because remember I told you it counts as a stitch. But we're now going to be doing an increase, so we actually want to put a half double crochet into that stitch. So we're going to put our hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3 loops. So now that counts as 2 stitches, so 1 stitch increase. And for the rest of the row, we're just going to be doing half double crochets as normal. So basically what I'm doing is I want to create a gradual increase towards the midline of the top. So we do that all the way to the end. When you get to the end, you're going to chain up 2. We're going to skip that first stitch because that counts as a stitch. And since we're doing no increases, we're going to go into that second stitch and we're going to continue doing the half double crochets all the way down as normal. This next row, since it's going to be a no increase row, we're going to chain 2 and half double crochet all the way to the end. And now we're going to create a ridge. So to create a ridge, we're going to chain 1 and into that front loop only, right there, we're going to pull up a loop and pull through. So this is called a slip stitch. So we're going to be slip stitching just into that front loop only. So you see I pull through the yarn. I don't yarn over anything, I just pull it all the way through. So front loop only, pull up a loop and pull the loop through that back loop. And we're going to do this slip stitching into the front loop only all the way down. Now for the second row, we're going to chain 1 and now we're left with the back loops, as you can see here where I'm pointing with my finger. We're going to put our hook into that back loop, the back loops that were left behind, because remember we did just the front loops. We're going to put our hook into that back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. So we're going to be doing a single crochet into those back loops. So again, put the hook into the back loop and do a single crochet. And we're going to do that all the way down and it's going to create this beautiful ridge. After we finish, we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and the next row is going to be a half double crochet row with no increases. So we're going to half double crochet as normal all the way down. When we get to the end, we're going to chain 2 and now we're going to do an increase. So into that very first stitch, we're going to put in a half double crochet, so that counts as 2 for an increase, and then just half double crochet all the way down. So now this is our second increase. Next row, we're going to chain 2 and it's going to be a no increase, just half double crochet all the way down row. So we're going to be doing the no increase rows for 3 more rows, and then we're going to be doing one final increase. So here I'm just showing you those no increase rows, and I'm going to show you how to do the increase one more time. So we're going to half double crochet all the way down. If you want the top to give you more coverage, you can definitely add in more rows, but this was how many rows I needed to cover my bust. So this is our last increase. Again, we're going to that very first stitch and we're going to be putting a half double crochet for an increase. We're going to be doing 2 more half double crochet no increase rows, and then we're going to be working our ridge one more time. This ridge is going to come before the mesh stitch. I feel like it helps accentuate the mesh and it's really flattering. So here I am doing those no increase rows. Remember, when we're doing our ridge, instead of chaining 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So again, we're going to be putting our hook into those front loops only, pulling up a loop and pulling all the way through for a slip stitch. So we're slip stitching into the front loops only, all the way down. When we get to the end, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to be doing single crochets into those remaining back loops. So here I am putting my hook into that back loop. I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 for a single crochet, and we're going to do that all the way down. After the ridge, we have the mesh stitch row. So we're going to chain up 4, turn our work. We're going to skip a stitch. Into that 3rd stitch, we're going to do a double crochet. Then we're going to chain 1, skip a stitch. Into the next stitch, double crochet. Again, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to do that all the way down. For the next row, we chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to be doing a row of single crochets. I like to put the single crochets into that mesh stitch space, and then 1 single crochet into that double crochet space. And then we do that all the way down. Can't find the footage for this last part, but you're going to put in 1 more row of single crochet, chain 2, and then do 1 last row of half double crochet. Now we're going backwards again. I'm going to be showing you how to do the right panel. So the first panel we saw in the beginning. We just finished the left panel, now we're doing the right panel. So again, we mark the 55th stitch from the bottom, and we're going to be doing a row of half double crochets starting from the bottom. So if you remember in the first panel, we started at the top, we put the slip knot in, and we worked half double crochets all the way down. This time we have to do kind of mirror the other side. So we're starting at the bottom and we're doing half double crochets up until the 55th stitch marker. Okay, now I take my stitch marker out, I put in 1 last half double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2 and turn my work. Now if you remember in the left side panel, we put in the increases. So to add increases to this right side panel, we're going to add increases at the end of this row rather than the beginning like we were doing on the other side. So we're going to do half double crochets, and now I'm at the end, and I'm going to be putting 2 half double crochets into that chain 2 space. So into that last stitch, I put 2 half double crochets for an increase. Right there. So rather than putting an increase at the beginning, I'm just putting them at the end now. Okay, then we chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to be doing 2 rows of no increases, just half double crochets all the way through. And if you remember, like the left side panel, we're going to be adding the ridge. So I'm just going to show you those 2 no increase rows, and then once more how to create that ridge. This is our final half double crochet no increase row. After this, we chain 1 and turn our work, and then again we're going to be doing slip stitches just into those front loops. So we put our hook in, grab the yarn, pull through, and then pull through the stitch. So slip stitch all the way through. We've now reached the end, so we turned our work and we're going to be working single crochets into those remaining back loops as we were doing with the first panel. So here's a single crochet and we're going to do that all the way down. At the end, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. This row is going to be a regular row of no increases. We're going to chain 2, turn our work, and for this row we're going to be adding an increase at the end. So remember, we add 2 half double crochets in the top of that chain 2 space. So right here, we're going to add 1 half double crochet, and then we're going to add 1 more for an increase. So we chain 2, turn our work, and so the next 3 rows are going to be no increased rows, just regular half double crochet rows all the way down. And then that 4th row, which I will be showing you, we will be doing our last increase. So 2 stitches into the last chain 2, top of the chain 2 space for an increase, our final increase. We made it to the increase row. So at the end of this row, we add 2 half double crochets in the top of that chain 2 space. Following this row, we're going to just chain 2, and we're doing 2 regular no increase half double crochet rows, and we will do our final ridge before the mesh stitch row. Mesh stitch. It's like a tongue twister. So here I am just showing you those regular no increase rows. We're back at that ridge, so we're going to be doing slip stitches into the first stitch. Remember, before we do this row, we have to chain 1 rather than chaining 2 because we're doing the ridge. At the end, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to be doing the single crochet rows just into those remaining back loops to finish the ridge. Once we finish this row, we're going to chain 4 and turn our work because we're going to be doing the mesh row. To do the mesh, we're going to go into the 3rd stitch, so we skip the stitch, and we're going to double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, into the next stitch, double crochet. And then we continue the pattern of chain 1, skip stitch, double crochet into the following stitch, all the way down for the mesh row. Like the left side panel, we're going to be putting a single crochet row, so we chain 1, turn our work, put a single crochet into that first stitch, and then go into the space where the mesh is and put a single crochet, and then a single crochet on the top of that double crochet space, and then again a single crochet into the mesh space, and then we're going to do that all the way down. So for this right side panel, we're going to be putting in our buttonholes. So I measured out where exactly I wanted my buttonholes to be. I only had 6 buttons, So I wanted the buttons to be evenly spaced out and to have a little opening at the bottom of my top to create kind of like a V shape. Of course, you can add as many buttons as you'd like or space them out how you'd like, have them more open or closed, but this is just how I want to do it. I put a stitch marker for wherever I wanted my space to be. And my buttons are tiny, so I just needed 2 stitches in order to have that button space. So I chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and single crochet into the next stitch. So if you have a bigger button, let's say you need like 3 or 4 stitches, you chain that amount. So you would chain like, let's say 3 or 4, skip that amount, and then single crochet into the next stitch to close that off. And I'll leave you with this nice hole where you can put the button through. The left side panel, which I will show you later, remember we did a half double crochet row, we're going to put the buttons on that row. To finish off this side, we're going to chain 2 and do one last half double crochet row. Now we're doing our side panel. I'm putting my hook into the 55th stitch right on the other side of the top. I have a slip knot, pulling that through. Then we're going to chain 2. And now for the side panel, we're doing decreases to make space for the armpit area. So to do a decrease, you're going to go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then now you have 3 loops. Then you're going to go into the stitch after that, pull up a loop. Now you have 4. We're going to pull through all 4 loops, and that will be a decrease. So you're kind of putting 2 together and half double crocheting. The rest of the row all the way down, we're going to do just a normal half double crochet. At the end, we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and half double crochet all the way down. Okay, so now we're starting again and we're doing another decrease at the beginning of this row. So we're doing the same thing. We're going to half double crochet 2 stitches together. There will be no decreases at the end of the row. So at the end of the row, you chain 2 and go back to the top. Before we reach the top, we're going to be doing a decrease at the end of this row. So right there. So to do that, we're doing the same thing, except for the last 2 stitches, we're going to be merging them together pretty much and doing a half double crochet like we did in the beginning. So 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. We're going to chain 2 and decrease again at the beginning of the row because I want a sharp decrease line. So here I am decreasing again, half double crocheting those 2 stitches together, and then half double crochet down the rest of the row. Okay, so for rows 6 through 8, we're going to be repeating this pattern of decreasing at the end of the row, obviously towards the top, and then decreasing the beginning of the rows. For row 9, we're just going to be doing a row of half double crochets with no decreases. This is row 9. And then for row 10, we're doing one final decrease at the beginning or the top of the row where the armpit would be. And then for 2 more rows, rows 11 and 12, we're doing half double crochets with no decreases. So you should have a total of 12 rows. Now we're going to be attaching this side panel to the strap. So to do that, we're going to kind of put them together, and I use a stitch marker to make sure that they're even. I'm going to take my hook, put it back into where we left off, and then I'm putting my hook through the stitch on the other corresponding side. You're going to chain 1, and then we're going to put the hook into both stitches on both sides, and then we're going to do just a single crochet. So we're going to single crochet all the way down by putting our hook into both stitches on both sides, making sure that they're even. For this part, I didn't count, but it would probably be wise to count both sides up so they're completely even. And then we're just going to do the single crochet all the way down until the sides meet up. So now the side should be joined with the strap. And to finish off, you'll chain one and just cut your yarn and pull it through. Okay, so that's how it should look like. Now we have the strap attached to the side panel, and then we have the front portion of the bust. Now you're going to repeating this exact same thing with the side panel for the other side. And then you're going to do the same thing where you attach the strap to the side panel, and this is what you should have now. You should have both the left panel and the right panel, and I just used some stitch markers to put them together. And now for the final bit, we're going to be working on the back panel. To begin the back panel, we're going to be doing a half double crochet foundation chain. So we're going to chain up 3. Into that first chain, we're going to yarn over, put our hook into both the front and back loops of the stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. Remember, like the foundation single crochet, but this time we're doing half double crochet. So this loop is going to be our foundation chain. So we're going to yarn over, pull through that, just the top, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 for the half double crochet part. So that's our first foundation half double crochet. Let's do another one. Yarn over, go into that V. We're going to pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through just the top, which is the foundation, and yarn over and pull through 3, which would be the half double crochet. We're going to do that until we have a chain that is about 2.5 inches long. Next, we chain 2 and turn our work, and we're going to be doing a row of half double crochet. At the end of the row, we chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to be doing 3 rows of half double crochet. Okay, at the end, that takes us to row 5. We're going to be doing an increase at the beginning, so going to that very first stitch, and also doing an increase at the end of the row, so adding 2 half double crochets into that top of chain 2. So we're putting 1 half double crochet here, and then we're putting another half double crochet, so it increased 2 times in this row 5. Next, we're going to be doing just 6 rows of half double crochet, no increases. For row 12, we're going to be increasing at the beginning of the row and at the end of the row again. And then for the next 6 rows, for row 13 through 18, no increases. Row 19, we're going to be increasing at the beginning and the end of the row. Going forward, you're going to be doing this beginning and end increase every 4th row until you have about 5 inches in width and about 8.5 inches in length. Now we're going to be cleaning up the sides of this back panel. So to do that, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to start putting in single crochets along the edge of this back panel. It doesn't really matter where you put these single crochets as long as the stitches are fairly even. As you can see, I'm kind of putting them in randomly here. And we're going to do that around the entire perimeter of this back panel. Okay, now we're ready to attach the back panel to the strap. So we're going to put our hook into the corresponding stitch, and we're going to chain 1 and turn our entire work. And we're going to be putting in single crochets again all the way down, making sure to go through both sides and making sure that both sides are even. That is why we did 8.5 inches, because 8.5 inches for the back panel was the perfect length for this side. You're going to do the same exact thing on the other side and attach the back panel to the other strap, And now we're going to add single crochets along the bottom perimeter to clean it up. So again, chain 1 and start adding single crochets evenly, but kind of randomly. It doesn't really matter where you put it. It just gives it a cleaner edge. So we do that for the whole perimeter. And then it's time to add the buttons. I spaced out my buttonholes by about 1 inch. So I am going to do the same with the buttons so that they go perfectly on the other side. So whatever measurement you use to space out the holes for your buttons, you want to make sure that you're doing it evenly on the other side so that the buttons can go through. Okay guys, and this is the final product, the Cleo top. She's perfect for summer. I think the white and the lace combination looks great with a jean skirt or jean pant, and the ridges add a really nice texture to the top. I'll also be doing a tutorial on that flower choker necklace in another video. And this is what it looks like on. I had so much fun making this top. I love all the textures, the mesh, the ridge, and the lace working together to make this adorable piece. If any of you guys try this pattern out, please let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more tutorials coming very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye!